There we go.
Here we go. So, dear Anna, how to take an entrepreneurial approach to your own psychology?
Dear Marco, short answer is align with own integrity as much as you can, and always be eager to get more and more aligned, more and more integrated. That was short. Longer answer is the following. Like, let's start with what is entrepreneurial approach, probably. It's an approach where you own your own and integrity, where you own your parts, your mind, your consciousness, your heart, your whole organism. You know what you're doing, you know where you're going, you figured who exactly you are, at least at this very stage. Entrepreneurial approach implies never-ending willingness to grow by all means within all of those parts I've mentioned, and integrity of all of them means that you're honest with your very self. Entrepreneurial approach means that you're aligning with the external things as they are and influence them through your own integrity. Let's simplify now. In business, if you're not honest with your own P&L, you're in trouble. You're gonna find yourself in trouble sooner or later. The sooner you admit reality as it is and influence it through your own integrity, the more successful your business is gonna be. If that doesn't happen, if you don't take the reality as it is, if you're not willing to influence it through your own integrity, but maybe through your very based on certain old patterns brain only and not the whole integration of your whole self, you're going to be in trouble sooner or later. The point is to take this proactive approach as a truly in business, but towards own self. How? Through integration of all our parts and through personal honesty, where accepting the reality as it is the first thing, and second, influencing by taking our whole self and not by operating by brain only, for example, just because the main point of the brain is to keep us alive. The main goal of the brain is to save our energy as much as it's possible. And that's controversial to influence the external factors or even to get integration between all of our parts, including the brain. You want to jump in?
Oh, wow. I can jump in here with so many stuff. So you talk about integrity. I love to talk about authenticity, which could be interchangeable, but from my perspective, it isn't so much because it's about the authenticity you bring on the table. As an entrepreneur, if you're not authentic in what you do, it will be hard. Maybe you will even convince the one or the other investor to invest into yourself, but you have the next 5, 10, 15 years to go. And it will be tough to keep up the game, to keep up the show, because not authentic is playing a show, playing for the sake of somebody else a role. So how does that relate to your own psychology? Well, it's the same in life. We are showing up for somebody else most of the time, so we're not authentic. As kids we are linked to or we are taught how how to be nice with your parents, how to be nice with people. I don't say that you should not be nice and friendly with people. It is something which is a taught behavior. Now, as that is a taught behavior, it creates it can create inauthenticity. So that's actually what happens during the time from being a kid to becoming an adult during puberty, is that your brain is starting to check what works for me and what doesn't, and where am I authentic and where I'm not, or where does the programming coming from outside is taking over. Now, it doesn't stop at puberty. I promise you, it only starts there, because it's the moment where you become responsible for your own thoughts, your own way how you see the world. And if you're not authentic in the way how you speak to people, in the way how you embrace people, life, anything you do, you will not be able to find an inner happiness. Now, I'm not talking about whatever you see on Facebook, LinkedIn, and whatever, all these nice pictures. I'm talking about inner happiness. And in my job as a coach, I see so many people who portray. I had this conversation very recently with a very successful owner and startup. Well, now it's already scale up, so it's like huge company now. And he tells me how tough it is and was. He actually says, Marco, this stays between us. So I would never reveal his name. But it is crazy how inauthentic you have to be. The price you pay for that is your unhappiness. It's simple. So you have a choice. You have a choice. You have a choice to just take whatever comes up, do it, be inauthentic, and be successful for the outer world and unhappy inside. Or find, maybe it is what you just do, but find what you really want to do and be authentic in every moment. And another thing I wanted to jump on, you just said, which is really powerful, is it's about this going on as remember or knowing who you are. It's about the awareness. It's about looking at yourself, watching yourself. It's becoming the watcher of self. I know, very, very spiritual, blah, blah, maybe for some. But it is in a sense that you are detaching the way how you look at yourself from how you are. And actually, myself, I laugh about my idiocies. And I have many, like when I freak out because of stupid stuff with my family or my wife and then say, oh yeah, that's funny. Oh, how are you again? So being aware of it, that is 1,000 times more important than whatever change you think you can do. Because as long as you're not aware, there is no change. There's nothing which will ever move. So people who talk to me about, I want to change, is, are you ready to be aware? Are you ready to look at yourself? Are you ready to really watch yourself as you are? Oh, there is very often not a very positive answer to that. And said, okay, so how do you want to change? You have no clue what you want to change. Yeah, but I want to be successful. Well, now we're back to that. We're coming back to what I said before. Take on a job which everybody loves and make it good, and then you're successful for the outer world. Happy that you're not, that's not true. Probably not.
You see, explain the process of inner integration, because I think that authenticity, real one, is the result of inner integrity. Because look, people who come to me for coaching, they usually don't say like, Anna, I want to change. They say, I cannot be like that anymore. Of course, there's a push for change in this statement, but this awareness you're talking about, it comes from integrational process. Usually why people cannot be like that anymore, and so they cannot change organically, and so they cannot continue growing their stuff organically. they just feel this lack of integrity. They cannot find their authenticity if they deny certain inner parts that they cannot be fine with. Integrity, real one, between brain, mind, consciousness, heart, guts, our whole organism, that's also implying the acceptance of what we don't like in ourselves, of what we've been through, and we would be happy to not remember about it. That's admitting that there are vulnerabilities and parts that are not that valuable for showing up, that you mentioned, to whoever. That's like pursuing a picture of successful entrepreneur in whatever business, but that controversy of being like entrepreneur of own life if there's lack of integrity, which equals no authenticity, which equals some picture that we might think of that we're going to pursue, and so as a result we're going to be successful, which is always leading to being unhappy. So my point over here is to put own selves together through this integrational process and using all of our parts, even the most ugly ones, even those that we hate in ourselves, especially those, even those that are ignored, that been ignored. Why people are coming and saying, I cannot be like that anymore. Because those not pretty parts are that ignored till the level that the whole organism is shouting like I cannot be like that anymore. And from this standpoint, right, in coaching, there's usually like point A and point B where we should go. So even point A is not that well determined. So which change can actually happen if there is no clue from where we're going?
Yeah, if point A is always awareness. The point A is always awareness, huh? And sorry, I interrupted you.
No worries.
You should.
Yes, but this awareness, we cannot be aware of our cool parts and stay not aware of all the rest. That's not personal honesty anyhow. But through personal honesty only within this process of integrity, we can find this authenticity that leads not only to success, but actually to being really happy.
Yeah, that's the cue I need to go into a rant about success and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So most of in most of our lives, we are looking for, when I am successful, then I'm happy. First of all, first big mistake is, what is success? Did you define success? So some people say, yes, I define success. I want to sell, talking about entrepreneurs, I want to sell my company for $500 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, amazing. That's great. But how happy will you be after? Oh, I will be amazingly happy because I will buy and sell other companies. No, I never sold something for 500 million, but I sold companies. And the first day you're happy, I smoked my Cohiba 6, Siglo 6, and that was really great. And then so much worry starts. What do I do now? How do I do it? How can I repeat that? And so on. And actually, it's interesting because a few years ago, I had these very good friends who had an incredible thriving hosting business in Germany. And they were selling their company. I don't know how much it was. I think it was 150 million, something like that. It was really a lot of money. And they were three owners, like two main owners, and so they really got a lot of money in their pocket. So we had lunch together in a very, very funny pizzeria somewhere. And we were talking, and then one of the two guys said, we could have sold for so much more if we just would have done this and this and that.
Oh.
And I looked at him and I said, can you not take in the moment? Can you not be happy with what you have done? So
Yeah.
all that said, success is not equaling happiness, because happiness is something which is totally independent and which comes always from inside of you. So you need to find your inner happiness, and then you are successful. Now, you can also become successful externally for others. That's fine. But if you're not defining your happiness, if you're not creating, working, committing to your own happiness through the fact that you manage your thoughts, your emotions, and all that, if you're not doing that, you will never find true holistic or fulfillment, success, whatever you want to call it. You will never find that. Don't get me wrong. Some of the most externally successful people in the world, and you look at them, I don't think that they're really happy. And
I
that's
don't
fine.
think.
It's their life. But you have to choose. What do you want in life? You want to be happy or you want to be successful? But you always need to be happy first. Otherwise, real success will never come. Or it will be a coincidence, which sometimes happens. So let's just say there are some lucky bastards who just make this happen. Because, and then again, it only happens because they were finding a happiness inside of themselves before. They just didn't work on it. It was there. I have some kind of like that. I have an entrepreneur. It's really interesting. I coached him, and he says, actually, interesting enough, he is coachable. He let himself coach because he's very successful. He's a very positive-minded guy, but he always says, I need to grow. Cool. So he understands the logic of coaching. But he always says, I am a pleasure-driven person. I'm not a fear-driven person. It's really interesting to that side. So he has an innate happiness. And great, now he's successful. He has money, he has happiness, he has a life he loves, he does what he loves, he does. It's amazing. But
Rather,
most of us, it's not innate. Huh? So for most of us, it's work. It's tough work. So that's what Anna and I propose to you. Let's take on that work.
and I would add that it's not either or, either you're successful or you're happy. It's something that you merge together and you don't separate those things. It doesn't mean that you sacrifice your happiness for your success, because one of the latest coaching clients I had, he actually reached serious financial, well, success, right, in his business for his age, and that was all measurable, you know, like having half of and the wrist for a couple $100,000 in whatever Cartier and all the rest of things. But he was so much more happy to just sit by the river and look at the opposite bench and see how cool the moon is, and that's for free. And apparently he, for the first time, managed to feel himself better in that very moment, catching it, rather than pursuing certain financial goals that apparently drained him down completely without any understanding of what happened at all. Okay, I'm successful now, but what's going on and why it feels so shitty inside? That's this disintegration, that's this lack of integrity from the inner standpoint, because personal evolution usually implies our sides. None of those can be ignored. Not personal life, not personal preferences, not personal happiness as a sacrifice to success. So my point is to see more people who are entrepreneurs of their own life first, and as the result of their business as well, rather than vice versa, to not have them find themselves in a place like my client that, oh my God, it's so cool to just watch the river for free, rather than everything I was pursuing for that many years being blind to own self, being that disintegrated.
I had a walk this morning with my wife, And we walked for 4.5, 5 kilometers just because it will be shitty days and it was not raining for an hour or two. And then we talked about, so my wife is a professional yoga trainer, so yoga teacher, and we talked about posture. So we meditate a lot. My posture became way more straight than ever because of my hours of meditation. And then she said, yeah, but then when you sitting upright, when you're walking upright and so on, and she talked about different muscles, different portions, like very minute portions of the chest, which have to go out, other ones have to go back, and so on. She talked to me about that 5 years ago. I said, what are you talking about? I have no clue what you're talking about. I was not aware of that. I couldn't be aware of that because I was so engulfed in anything around, in anything external, that what happens in my body was not important. I didn't care. And that actually doesn't change when you do a lot of workout and a lot of sports, guys. Now I hear you saying, yeah, but I am working out 3 times a week and I do this and that, and I see that muscle and I do that muscle and this muscle.
I can move one muscle and
it's not about that. It's about being aware what moves, what doesn't move, and how and when. Because you listen, it has nothing to do with training. And in entrepreneurship, it's the same. You need to listen. You need to listen as much to yourself. You need to listen to the organism of your company. So many people don't listen. As a founder, don't listen to the organism of your company. It's like you can take the analogy of a big ship, and then you as a captain, and you're a great captain, you hear the whole time, you hear the machine running, and when there's something wrong, you hear it, even if it's just a little thing, you just hear it because you are attuned, you are aligned. And that's what integrity and authenticity gives you, because you start to be aligned with what you're doing, and you are aware of the machine. You cannot be always in control because you're not controlling all internal, external things in your life, and you are not a perfect yogi so that you have everything handled. I'm not.
You shouldn't.
But what it is you are in a logic where you see it, at least you hear it, you get aware of it. That's the power. That's how a very successful, externally successful person, like you were describing, can go back to his business and start to listen and actually start to become aligned with the business. It's subtle. It's not in the head. No, we talked about it. It's not the head. It's the heart. You listen with the heart. You don't listen with the ears, or you listen with the ears, but what you hear goes here, not here. Because that is what it is. You talk to people. You're in contact and so on. And if somebody like that does that, he really can find his happiness in that. But it is a huge challenge because we are taught as entrepreneurs not to do that. Literally not to do that. And that's a challenge. We are taught to be mind driven. We are taught to run, to think, to make a business plan, to hit numbers, to that. And that's all fine. I'm not saying that you should not do that. I'm just saying you should not only do it, and you should do this on the basis of your attunement and alignment, and not just because somebody else tells
you. You shouldn't be taught to be someone and follow that during this whole journey. At some point, there is going to be an inner feeling, not with the brain thought anyhow. There's going to be inner feeling that something's wrong here. Either you can hear this on time, or you're wasting more time being someone else, not who you meant to be, if you only use all your parts in an integration.
Wow. I think for a first short video, that was already plenty. We had prepared 5 questions. We actually got into one. So stay tuned, guys. We are back. We will be back.
And is coming, because only from this short video there has been like a lot to talk through further. So staying in touch.